George Miller's Furiosa has been out for just over a week, and the recent box office performance of the film was not great for the franchise as a whole. As someone who enjoyed the film, it was sad to hear of the early reported figures, and after its second weekend, it looks like it's going to struggle to turn any kind of profit. This leaves us with big questions for the future of the Mad Max saga, as there were plans to make at least one more film with the rumoured Mad Max The Wasteland project. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about that proposed project, whether there's any chance we could ever see it, and what impact the Furiosa box office has had. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming movie releases like Furiosa, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into whether Mad Max The Wasteland will ever see the light of day. So Furiosa, with a production budget of around $160 million, had a disappointing performance at the box office. From its first Thursday to Sunday, it only managed to collect an estimated $25.6 million in the US and Canada. Box office analysts predicted that the film would earn around $5.4 million on Monday, resulting in a total of $31 million for the holiday weekend. Unfortunately, this would mark the worst Memorial Day weekend result in 43 years when adjusted for inflation. It's important to note that these records exclude 2020 due to the closure of most theatres during the coronavirus pandemic, and in comparison, the previous installment in the franchise, Mad Max Fury Road, earned $45.4 million in 2015 without the advantage of a holiday weekend. Despite premiering at the prestigious Cannes Film Festival and receiving exceptional reviews, Furiosa struggled to secure the top spot at the box office. And while it did manage to claim first place ahead of Garfield in its opening weekend, it fell just short of maintaining its position in the second weekend. Box office experts and film fans have debated the reasons for its tumble, saying that it's because the film is a prequel to a classic that wasn't entirely successful to begin with, the marketing was not the greatest, and that the movie being headlined by an actress who hadn't had a big hit previously affected it too. Now, I think it could be a mixture of these reasons, and I think it's a shame because when looking forward, I struggle to see how we'll get another film in the Mad Max saga. But before I discuss whether there is any hope going forward for Mad Max, what was George Miller's original plans surrounding a film to follow what we got with Furiosa? With Furiosa's story neatly wrapped up in Fury Road, fans were left wondering about the future of the Mad Max saga on the big screen. During the lengthy gap between Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome in 1985 and Mad Max Fury Road in 2015, George Miller dedicated a significant amount of time to developing his vision of the Wasteland. Not only did he craft the story and script for Fury Road, but he also collaborated with Nico Lathouris on a novella titled Mad Max The Wasteland, delving into Max's desert adventures before the events of Fury Road. This novella was the basis for the proposed next installment in the series. In a recent interview on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, George Miller discussed the future of the Mad Max franchise, hinting at the possibility of his Wasteland film. While he didn't make any promises, he revealed that the potential film is set a year before Fury Road and follows Max as he teams up with a young mother. Miller believes that the Wasteland is more akin to a saga like Furiosa than his recent Mad Max films. He said in the interview, "I'd say that it certainly has a lot of action in it, but it's also a saga. It's a year-long story. Fury Road happened over 3 days and 2 nights. You could almost say that the first act, some part of the second act, and the third act mostly play out in real time. It's quite a different kettle of fish than Furiosa. I'm still figuring out what to do with the Wasteland, I'm just waiting to see the reception on the latest film. If it all lines up, then we'll go ahead with it." Based on its title, The Wasteland could also potentially shed light on the mysterious conclusion of the Mad Max franchise's universe. Throughout the series, the exact cause of the off-screen apocalypse has remained elusive, with different films attributing it to nuclear war, fuel shortages, or a combination of both. Therefore, it seems logical to assume that this film would finally provide the missing pieces by delving into the events that led to the downfall of Max's world between the first and second movies. In a separate interview, George Miller further hinted at his contemplation of what unfolds after Furiosa's rise to power at the Citadel in Fury Road. So there may have also been plans beyond his Wasteland movie for more storytelling to take place. Another thing that Furiosa left us with was a short post-credit scene revolving around Nicholas Holt's Nux from 2015's Fury Road. The post-credit scene in Furiosa is quite minimal, with the movie concluding on a shot of Nux's bird bobblehead. At the start of Fury Road, Nux had a specially made bird bobblehead in his vehicle, but it was lost when his car was destroyed in the massive sandstorm. This is the last time we saw Nux's bird bobblehead until it made a comeback in Furiosa's end credit scene. In the scene, the familiar bobblehead can be seen shaking inside the car as the storm rages outside. So it's unclear whether this takes place before, during, or after the events of Fury Road in the Mad Max timeline. However, what we do know is that George Miller chose to end Furiosa with a single shot of this bobblehead, serving as a reminder of Nicholas Holt's character for the audience. Post-credit scenes are usually meant to hint at what's to come in the next installment, leaving fans wondering if George Miller did just that with Furiosa's end credits. Ending with Nux's bobblehead is a clever move, as it ties directly into the events of Fury Road and the sacrifice made by the character in that film. Now, if this did have any weight for plans going forward, then there's a small chance that it was for Mad Max The Wasteland, rather than being a tease for a solo Nux movie. Ultimately though, I think that this credit scene might just be Miller giving audiences an extended taste of Fury Road during the credits, over setting up a return for his character. He said in a recent interview, "The thing is, what you're getting at the end credits of Furiosa is you're getting a sample of what happens. So if you haven't seen Fury Road, you're not getting the experience of Fury Road, you're getting like a mini trailer of it. So it's quite a different experience. One is hopefully an immersive experience, and the other is a kind of a little taste." So based on those comments, it's likely that the Nux tease is more of a reference to Nux in Fury Road rather than directly setting up something else. And with Miller saying that his Mad Max The Wasteland movie with Max was the original plan, it sounds like that would be the direction he'd go in if we did ever get another movie. So now that I've spoken about what the idea was for Miller's next Mad Max film, this finally brings me to breaking down whether there is any possibility we actually get one. Now, the Furiosa box office makes it very unlikely that they'd even consider making The Wasteland to begin with. After making approximately $33 million over the 4-day holiday weekend, which is one of the worst Memorial Weekend debuts in decades, those figures would seemingly stop all discussion about more Mad Max films, meaning The Wasteland might not ever see the light of day. I think it's around 90% that we won't get that next project. However, 10% of me says that there is a very small chance if Furiosa's time in theatres has longevity and it has interest when it gets a home release. The reason I mention this is because Fury Road didn't necessarily do great at the box office when it originally came out, yet the quality of that film and it becoming a somewhat cult classic in the film community over the last 9 years led to Furiosa being made today. Still, it has to be said, Furiosa has only made half of what Fury Road did in theatres at that time, so it would have to have a big spiking interest over the years to come. So if we did ever get a Mad Max The Wasteland film, I think Furiosa would have to have some consistent long-term success to signal that it can be a profitable investment. It doesn't look like that's happening in theatres, as the film didn't have a great second weekend. We'll have to see if that changes, but right now, it's looking quite sad that we might never get to see the potential final film in the Mad Max saga. But that was my video on the potential of Mad Max The Wasteland. It looks pretty grim for the future of the Mad Max saga, and the recent performance of Furiosa seems to be a nail in the coffin for the franchise moving forwards. Of course, I really hope we do get to see it, and as a big fan of Fury Road and as someone who really liked Furiosa, it's a shame that we might never get to see what was next. Still, we did get 2 excellent films from director George Miller, and hopefully as time passes, more people will check out Furiosa as they did with Fury Road. But what are your thoughts towards whether we'll see another Mad Max film, and if you have seen Furiosa, what did you think of Miller's latest return to the Wasteland? Let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Furiosa, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.